Get ready to show up with Khoolaid and Sarah. It's the show up show, baby.
Ready to go.
Let's go. What's up? It's your homegirl, Khoolaid.
And Sarah.
And this is the show up show. Oh my God, look how I'm smiling.
I know.
It's that
I know,
smile.
I
You
know.
know that one smile.
Since yesterday. The smile has been there since yesterday.
It was because it's funny because as much as this human has done for me, I was kind of afraid to interrupt his world because I know he's so busy and I know you're doing so much concrete.
What's up?
I can't believe you're here in the building.
No, he's here. It kind of feels like Dad has come home and like we want him to be
No.
proud of us.
Zaddy's home.
Nah.
Zaddy's, he got enough kids.
Right. It's not in that way, but just in the way of like we want him to be proud of us. So it's
Yeah.
like, come see what we've done and we want you to be
No.
proud. And Dad's home.
Yeah, no,
Feels
for
that way.
real. It's like that. I mean, I was thinking about it and I was telling Sarah this and, even Eric, I had told, it was like, I didn't want to bug you because I know how busy you were and ask you to be on the show.
No,
Like,
no, not at
which
all.
is crazy because we've had some pretty cool, are you proud of us? We've had some pretty cool guests.
Yeah. You guys killing it.
Yeah, first four
Yeah,
guests.
you got some reels going viral. The whole thing. I
Yeah,
love it.
we're
I
doing
love
we're
it.
doing
Doing
the
the
thing.
thing.
So it's like I almost wanted to wait till we found our flow, till we
Mhm.
had you here. But I mean, we have such a deep story with you, Concrete, and I have so much that we appreciate.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that we're not taking shots for every wrong thing we say on the show. And we don't have the wine and bitches that we initially all talked about. And sometimes we talk about, hey, maybe we'll be the drunk off the hook moms. in the
Right.
beginning.
With the wine and the drinks
Yeah.
and the
But
40s.
40s, 40. What was his name? The first name was 40. What was it?
Talk 40s.
Talk
Talk
40s.
40s.
Top 40. Yeah,
Top 40s when we were trying to figure it out. And I mean, that's what the journey's been.
Yeah.
The last couple years, I always hit you up and I was like, hey, what do I need for this? Or what, because I knew I needed to turn it on and I knew I needed to get my voice out there. And finally you were like, get over here. We're going to help you. I think probably it would have been less
Yeah.
time consuming than all the texts I'd send you about what should we do and what should
Yeah,
we
it's all
get.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. And you came out here and you even put up drywall in our space for us.
I
in the
helped.
beginning.
I helped.
You
I
did.
just helped to pinch the guys. Shout out to Dennis and Eric and
Yeah.
whoever else was involved. But I kind of just showed up and just maybe held something a couple times.
Is it a
Nothing big.
trip though to see the
No, it's-
garage?
Yeah, no, to see it finally done, it looks amazing. It looks
Yeah.
so good. It's
Yeah.
so dope. I love it.
And so
I love it.
let's talk about that moment that I sat there with you and that Sarah, we sat there with you and you saw where I was completely like defeated. And I think a lot of you guys kind of couldn't understand. Like I did not know my power anymore. I did not know who I was. I did not know how to move. You gave me the outlet and the voice and the confidence that I had a team behind me, having you and everything you were doing. And now, I mean, I feel like the last 7 months has been magical.
That's dope. No, I'm glad. I mean, I'm just, dude, we just have a little fingerprint on something. That's enough. We just want to help out. And dude, I mean, the same way, you guys have helped me. It's that's why you gotta always build those relationships and be able to be there when anybody needs you as much as they've been there for you. So thank you for, lining some things up, for me in this world. And it's been amazing. And it's all energy and everything comes back around to some degree, negative and positive. But
Yeah.
I'm glad that our relationship has always been positive.
Yeah, and that's the big lesson too, is that a lot of times people will be there for you when you're up, and it's really the ones that are there for you when you're down. And you did that. And you helped me identify, like when we went out on stage at your comedy show, I remember I was so scared to get up in front of the audience. It's like, what am I going to say? People aren't going to know who I am anymore after 18 years. And
Crazy. That's wild. No, they're not.
and you're like, no, and that was what you said to me. You're like,
Yeah,
you thought I was
yeah.
joking. Like you thought I was joking, but really inside I felt that way.
Yeah.
I didn't feel worthy of getting up on that stage that you've created and worked so hard to do. And you opened your platform and you opened my eyes to, I was like, oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
can do this. And when I stood next to you all nervous by your merch table, and
Yeah.
I saw you guys doing
by the merch
I
table.
saw you guys doing your merch, and then I heard that's where I heard the L word for the first time for a couple times. Everybody was like, "Oh, dang, legend!" And I'm like, here I was just this freaking mom,
Yeah.
daughter, trying to make
Yeah.
it, trying to figure out what am I
Right.
going to be when I grow up
Right.
at 50 years old. And you're killing it, and you open that platform to me. Thank you so very much for opening my eyes again. And now I'm out of control. And now my brothers, you guys might need
Thank
to
you
calm
so
me
much.
down a
Yeah,
little
you
bit.
guys are
Thank you so much for that concrete.
everywhere. You guys are putting miles on
This
on the
one
car,
is.
on the heels, on the shoes,
Right?
In the streets.
on the
Right?
credit card. Yeah, get the
All the
get
things.
gas.
Did you think when you sat down with me, it would evolve with me back into the music? Like, did you see all this, that all this would come again, or did you?
I mean, I knew you were gonna evolve into something bigger than even I think what you were before. I mean, I think now you have. uh Look, man, I. It's not only do you have the knowledge, right? But it's what's gonna what really gets people over the hump and what gets them to a certain thing is that hunger and ambition.
Right.
And I think you've been, I guess for lack of better words, in a cage in a way, in a sense,
Out the game completely.
And now that you're like
Mm.
free bird type of thing, and you have that hunger, and I think with everybody that's been encouraging you to kind of come back out, yeah, I mean it's unstoppable. I don't even think music is the first and last stop for your train, because you're a freight train right now.
Agreed.
You're a freight train, and I don't think that's the first. I mean, it may be the first stop, but it's not the last. You're gonna end up doing much more than just music, and I think you have the knowledge to be able to, and a lot of people don't know, but you've been a part of some other things even before that just
Yeah.
wasn't music. It
Yeah.
wasn't music,
Mhm.
from films and TV. So I think now you.
Yeah, was that your
I think-
first film that we put you in?
Which
Was
one?
that the first film, or did you do films before that? The one where you got me in trouble from production because you played like 5 roles and you kept kept jumping in the film. And then when they were editing, Philly Brown. Yeah, that was kind of a big deal. That went to Sundance.
That
And
little movie.
I don't remember.
if somebody watches it, they can see Concrete
Is
played
that
like 5 roles.
2000? I think it could have been my second film,
Okay.
or my first or
But
second.
it was your
film.
most people you played in one film, definitely.
The most people you played with.
Yeah, they were like, you want
Challenge
you want to be a
accepted.
photographer?
Yeah.
Sure, man. I'll be whatever.
He didn't say like for continuity, oh, I was already in this scene as security. And I
No,
was
because
like,
he's gonna do whatever he needs to do.
I was just like, I'll get in there. I mean, people, dude. Right now, my biggest role up to date is me doing background work on Fast 7. You know how many people hit me up about that? And I'm like, yo, I've done a TV show. I've done this. I'm.
Do you know who I
I'm
am
in this
now?
movie on HBO too. You go check that out. And because Fast 7 is such a big film that
Yeah.
people always send me that shot. It's just me in the background, really looking confused because I didn't even know where to look at. People, I didn't know if I was supposed to look at certain things. It was a mess.
We're just in it.
well, and we have to talk about your hustle and you
Absolutely.
as a hustler. So like a
Absolutely.
lot of people don't know. And I told this story at the comedy club that night that I went out there. I'm like, what the hell am I going to say? And I said, I'm going to say my truth about Khan and who he is to me. and
Oh,
what
tell
this
us.
moment meant.
I want to know this.
So Khan originally, when I met him, Nikki is his wife is gorgeous, and she
Beyond.
was always
Beyond.
really smart, and she was a hustler on her own. Her and her mom, and they're singing, and I had her back since day one, since she was a little girl. I was street team at Kiss FM, hosting the concerts that she would do in the high schools, and she would be doing the Selena covers, and she was this beautiful little girl. I was in love with her, so I got to watch her grow.
Mm-hmm.
So as she grew, she'd date I remember she dated like some financially cool dudes that were like had their business game together. And, I remember that. And then all of a sudden she comes to me and she's like, I'm going to get married. I found the one, and was invited me to the wedding. And she said, he's a rapper.
Yeah.
No joke.
He's a
I'm like,
rapper.
there is no fucking way Nikki is going to marry a fucking rapper. Like,
rapper.
I remember my heart breaking
A poet.
inside, like my heart breaking. And then at the
Yeah.
wedding, when I met you and really got to know you and see your energy, I'm like, okay.
So you met rapper Concrete.
I met
first
rapper-
introduction, but you
my
weren't Concrete. When you were a rapper, you weren't Concrete.
No, not at the time. No, I think at the time I had already changed my name, maybe.
from Beretta.
Mhm.
Were you were Concrete then.
Yeah.
But you were rapper. You were like a rapper trying to still figure it out.
Yeah, I
Starting
was
to
still
do the
trying-
visual, right?
Yeah.
You started
Yeah,
right.
I was leaving. I was leaving rap already. Kind of when I met her, I was still trying it, and I was still trying to, really, really, really do it, but it just wasn't like.
Well,
it
let's
wasn't-
take you back to that timeline, because
Mhm.
that timeline, your rap partner, there's something we
Mhm.
talk about, which is the show up moment, that one moment that you
Yes.
thought you wouldn't get through. in life. And
Yeah.
I would ask you what that would be, but I think that I would kind of guess that that was probably your moment where you felt like you weren't going to get out of something. But I don't want to give you your moment, but I do want to talk about that moment when you lost your best friend and
Yeah.
your partner in crime. And
Yeah, I think that was like I was like, all right, I'm cool with this, man. And just like you said, when people, when you're at your lowest moment, you try to see who sticks around, right? And
Yeah.
during the time when I was with my partner, we were doing all this, and my best friend, he was my hype man. He was everything. He was my manager at the time too. He was getting me everywhere. He was trying to put me in a bunch of shows. I was doing like little hole in the wall spots, and he was like, "Nah, man, we need to get you at the knitting factory, at the Key Club, at the House of Blues," and we started accomplishing all these things. And I was like, "Oh, this is crazy!" And then so everybody from the hood, all the homies, everybody's coming around, everybody's supporting, things are moving,
Sure.
and then when he passes away, everything kind of stops, and then the phone call stopped. And this stopped, and people aren't looking for you no more, and people ain't trying to come to your house and just kick it no more because there's no movement.
Right.
You can't provide for them in some form or fashion, right?
Right.
And then so that's when you find out, okay, cool. And then I was like, oh, this shit is a facade. Fuck this. Like this rap shit. Like it's just nobody really fucks with you. They're just, it just if you're hot, you're hot. And and even me, I took it as like think about it. You're 19, 20 years old. You got arguably one of the most recognizable managers here in LA. You're rolling around. I got signed me and Nipsey got signed the same week. I'm at all these parties. I'm going here. Uh, Anything's available to me, drugs, whatever I wanted. Like it was good. So the cocky, and then keep in mind you have a song on the radio. You're 19,
Sure,
20.
19 and 20. You're right.
My fucking
Right.
ego was through the roof.
Yeah.
it's crazy to think about because of the humble individual you are now.
My
Right.
my ego my ego is just through the roof. And at the same I had a band, and I wish I could have treated them better and more of give them more of their flowers for my success, because they were a part of my success. People love the band. People love to see that stuff. And so I think, and I don't want to say, oh, God, took my friend away to show me what it really is, but things happen, and God does
Absolutely.
certain things, right? And I felt like God was like, you're not ready, dog. If I give you this, you'll be dead in 2 years,
Yeah.
And I think, to some degree, and the way I see it, like my friend was the one who ultimately paid the price, because we were all doing the same thing. You know, his addiction was his addiction. I had my addiction. So how can I tell him about his demons when I got my own?
Yeah.
So I felt like a hypocrite, at times.
So you dealt with
Yeah.
addiction for a minute? Like
Oh
you dealt-
yeah, for sure. When you're partying, and when you're young, you don't see it as addiction. You're just like, I'm just partying.
Fun. Right.
Bro,
Absolutely.
you're partying every other day, bruh.
Yeah. Well, what slowed you down in that? Like when you're in that? Because
His
like
death.
I've got a lot. Okay.
Oh, his
His
death
death
slowed me down.
changed you.
Oh yeah, because again, you're in your 20s, and you're like, I guess we are we are mortal.
Mortal,
We can
yeah.
die. We can die. This shit can end.
Yeah.
And yeah, when it ended for my buddy, I was like, it kind of ended for all of us. It was like it was really, and that's why I said, like, I feel like again for like he was the one that took the bullet for us all.
Yeah, because it kills me.
You know what
'Cause,
I'm
like
saying?
especially running with a lot of these youngsters again and
Mhm.
stuff. It's like I hope that they can take that lesson or hear somebody that they look up to like you.
Yeah.
With them being in their 20s before they got to learn the lesson that way.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, look, man. People told me then, but when you're young,
Right.
you're successful, it's really hard to tell these kids anything. And I get it, because I've been there. So it's like sometimes you gotta let, it's like, I mean, we got kids. Sometimes you gotta let them walk off and hit themselves, so you could see what happens. What I was telling you,
And they can
don't
learn.
do it.
Yeah.
And as much as it hurts us to see other people get hurt, that's just, they gotta feel it to believe it.
Yeah,
They
to
gotta go through
experience it.
something. They gotta experience the heartaches and the hardships to see, like, so when I see other rappers or other things, and I'm like, crazy, I remember.
Well,
And I'm watching
well,
them
were
run
we
up. I'm
doing it
watching
like
them run
that?
up.
Were we? Because okay, I said now I sound like oh, were we doing
Yeah.
it like that? Because I being out there in these streets, I worry because like I remember when we were young, you were talking, you know, the majority of the kickbacks were like fucking maybe some boons, maybe some hen, maybe some Snapple mixed with something, maybe some fucking weed that had sticks in
Right.
it and seeds. But
Right.
now, like these kids, man, like the normalization of the fucking heroin and thinking they can microdose themselves with the fent and the fucking whippets. It's like I'm
Yeah.
sitting in there and I'm watching it and I'm like, these smart, educated souls. I'm like, fuck. And I don't know if that's the mom in me or the
Mhm.
fact that I'm older, but like that shit is, I don't remember us going that hard. Like there's some serious fucking normalized
No, man, I do
epidemics.
feel like there's harder drugs now
Yeah.
available to like
For
younger
sure.
people.
For sure.
Back in the day, I remember hearing about crack, but it's like, bro, you had to be in the darkest place to find crack.
Right.
Right.
You know,
Right.
Right.
Or the
that-
heroin or that
yeah,
shit.
yeah,
You were
you know,
like, on
like-
some- but it wasn't like readily like, you know, when I went out to an event and, you know,
Mhm.
everybody's like, you know, they're walking up with shit. Like it's like,
Yeah.
it's totally normalized. I'm like, no, you know, I'm good with my Patron Silver on ice, baby.
yeah. Nah, for sure. But you know, I mean, I feel like you know, there's similarities to how we run and how you know how the younger generation of rappers are running now. There are similarities, but you know, I think yeah, like they, you know, these kids. I mean, what do you tell them? You know, it's like, what do you
Right.
tell someone that is successful in their 20s and they got everything again provided? To me, you couldn't tell me anything.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, and they're also
You know,
surrounded by
and I
yes
had-
people.
No, but
who are
and I
benefiting
tell
from
you,
it.
and I felt like I had good people. I mean,
Right.
for generally it was pretty good people, right? But even then,
Well,
you
because
know,
you were like, let's keep it real. You were around like we in our era. It was like you were the. It was cool if you were the D-boy. It was cool if you were the one selling it. But like, if you were the one using it, you
yeah.
would be like, "Oh, that's just whack. They're on one."
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
But
Mhm.
now it's like
Oh, you don't fuck
can,
with it?
You can be on one, and yeah, you're not. Oh,
You're
look how
cool.
funny they are. They're on one in this
It's
video.
cool.
That shit is
It's
hard.
cool.
Like that shit's going
Yeah.
viral. So
No, I
it's,
mean, it definitely is a different era, I guess. You know, of it. You know, but yeah, I'm glad I went through it. You know, I think if I don't go through it, I mean, dude, I don't know. It's always a what, you know, what would have happened, coulda, shoulda, woulda kind of situation.
right.
Yeah.
Where would I be as an artist if I kept going as a rapper? I don't know. You
Okay,
know,
so
I
next
don't know.
chapter. Let's move on to the next chapter then.
Yes.
So from rapping and after that, where was your next step? Because a lot of people don't
Mhm.
know how much you did.
I mean, I still kept rapping for a little bit. Then we started. Then I started doing like small little film projects, like really small stuff, like just with like little homies and kind of just shooting some stuff. And then we ended up doing around the time when I got with Nikki was kind of when I was really leaving the rap music, but I didn't want to leave entertainment because
Mm.
that's just what I
And that's
do.
around
That's
when you
just
guys
what I
started
love.
doing the radio show.
So then we
right?
started. So then we
Yeah.
started doing what was called internet radio at the time,
Yeah.
which is now called podcasting.
way
Yeah.
before its time.
Way
we were
before
all
its
doing it
time.
way before. We were doing it way
Yeah.
before any of the
It was
homies
like-
could even access the video.
It wasn't called podcasting. It was called
Yeah.
internet radio.
yeah.
And then so we started doing the Latin Legacy show at
Yeah.
your place, which you guys allowed us to do there and become a part of the network and help us brand ourselves with the network. And then you know, we were pretty successful doing it. Even at
Yeah.
the time, to get
Yeah.
the people that we had on, even back then, was like people kept asking. I was like, how'd you get? And I was like, my girl, she just emails and
Yeah.
hits up people on Facebook and she gets people here, you know,
Yeah,
type
yeah, yeah.
of deal. And then so that was, you know, so that was cool. And then we started getting busy. You guys started working on the film with Philly Brown. I started getting more auditions. You know, now we're in the whole marriage state, you know, between me
Yeah.
and Nikki. She's still singing. And then we just started getting all busy. And then I started really focusing on music videos. And my first music video ever that I did where I got paid was for S.A. Daz.
That's dope. That's dope. Yeah, because you were a big part of
Mhm.
the label's early
Mhm.
movement and the visuals and just really being there for us and
Yeah.
executing all that. And yeah, so I got to watch you grow through all that, then started
Mhm.
watching you do everything with everybody in Mexico and just wild out. But what I loved the most in that
Mhm.
at that time when you were hustling and building your family, I mean, it wasn't easy for you. Like you guys struggled. Like
Oh, hell
the
yeah.
struggle was hella real. But the way you were there I ended up falling in love. I've always loved Nikki's mom, but then I ended up falling in love with your mom and dad and their hustle. And they have a business where they're party planners and they'd bring out the tables and the chairs for everything I ever did. That was my call.
Yeah.
Moms would set up the tacos
Yep.
and I'd have it banging over here. It would be dope. Moms would figure it out and help me get the cotton candy machine and the popcorn. We'd have the whole party going. But what I love the most about it is no matter what you were doing, you would be out here with your mom and dad setting up the tables. No matter where you're at in your life, you would be here with them.
Yeah. I mean, it was tough because you're still trying to make it happen. You know, you still gotta help everybody else out. You know, and I mean, my parents have always been helpful for me. They I mean, they've always been more than encouraging. And me and my crazy ideas of being a rapper, an actor, and whatever whatever it was. So, yeah, I mean, the family business has always. I've been helping my parents since I was like 10, type of deal. You know.
Yeah. And you
I
never
taught my
stopped.
mom how to do the balloons and all that stuff because I used to work for another party store in Pacoima, and that's where they taught me on the stuff. And I used to tell my mom, I was like, "Mom, you should start doing this." And so I taught my mom how to do the balloons, and I was like, "He gets his tuxedos over here at this store. Maybe you can go over there and get your tuxedos over there."
Yeah.
You know. And she was like, "Yeah." And then so I just we just started doing it, and then it just became a full-fledged business. But at the time it was more like my parents ended up taking over. I was just kind of like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I don't have the money to invest in it, and I'm only like 12.
Yeah.
But
You're an encourager.
but I had all the
Yeah,
plugs.
you're
I
an
had all
encourager.
the plugs. I knew where to go,
Yeah.
because I started out by just painting the chairs of a guy. His name was Ray Sonora. Rest in peace. He passed away like 10 years ago, but he had one of the biggest stores in Pacoima on Van Nuys. And because because I couldn't go out and DJ yet or whatever, he would just have me kind of janky repaint all the chairs white and all the tables, and it was just
like brand new for each event.
It was janky, right? It was so janky. And then on Fridays and Saturdays, he would have me get all the CDs, like for all the DJs.
Yeah.
And he would be like, "Hey, make sure every DJ has all the CDs and make sure they play." And I would go in there, look at the CDs, and make sure that every Friday he would rent out DJ systems, and we have guys come up and pick them up, and then he would book all these guys. And I was always like, "Man, dude, like, when am I gonna go on one of these? I want to be a DJ." At this point, I wanted to be a DJ.
That's
I'm like,
crazy.
that was really why I was there. I didn't want to
Yeah.
but
chairs.
yeah, I didn't want to paint chairs all day. And then so I remember just going there, and then one day, one dude calls out, "I can't make it," and I could hear him. He was like, "What do you mean you're not gonna make it, dude? It's a baptism." And I'm in the back, and I was like, "Shit!" I was like, "Hey, I'll do it, Ray."
All
like,
of
"What?"
a sudden, Pinchy Baker boy.
Yeah, he was like, "What? No, you're 12."
You're 12.
I was like, "I'm 12 and a half, dog."
Yeah.
He was like, "I can't have you go over there, dog." Like, I was like, "I'll do it." He's like, "You don't know what?" I was like, "Dude, I'll do it. I know all the music.
Yeah.
I play it all. I know exactly what it is. You start with with the soft music, then you go into the cumbia. Then by the end of the night, it's rock en español, right? Isn't it that?" He was like, "Man," he's like, "All right, pack it up. I'm gonna take you over there." And I get over there, and the dad of the baby being baptized, he was like, "Where's the DJ?" I'm like, "I'm here, dude." I'm here. And he was like, "No. Come on." He calls Ray. He's like, "He's gonna take care of it." Ray had just dropped me off and bounced.
And
He was
bounced.
"Oh,
He's like,
yeah,
I'm out.
I'm out of
It's
here."
like, good luck. Do it.
And I remember just knocking it out, and the party was jumping.
You rocked it?
Oh, yeah, the party was
Of course he
jumping.
did.
Of course
Of
he's
course you
conquered.
The
did.
party was jumping. I was just like, I don't know, because I used to test all the equipment, so I knew how it all worked.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. And you were waiting for your big chance.
Oh yeah,
You got it.
I was waiting. I was like, watch, yeah.
Let's do this.
Okay, so then you went on to do the video stuff. You were killing it on the video stuff. Like you're absolutely rocking the hell out of the videos. I mean, you were making a living off doing videos. Maybe not the living you wanted to, but you were making a living off doing the videos. And you guys were having multiple babies, and then all of a sudden you got 20 kids, and it's like, how did we evolve into where we are at now? That's what I need. Like, where the hell did this happen?
2018, August 23rd, 2018. We're at a video shoot in LA, and they end up, stealing all the equipment. And it was a moment of like, that's it. I mean,
So that was the moment that you switched gears when they stole the gear.
yeah, because I couldn't
Wow.
provide a service no more. Like I couldn't help, like I couldn't do like, and I didn't want to start all over again. I was like, fuck, I have to buy all this fucking gear again. And at that time, like, I was even shooting for you guys, and I was like, I don't have the gear, and you guys were kind of helping me, and it was amazing. But I just I was like, it was a perfect opportunity for me to say, all right, dude, do you wanna continue this? Is this what you want? If you're gonna go back, you're gonna go back, and it's gonna take you another 5 years to regenerate all the stuff,
Right.
all the stuff you bought. And I was like, fuck, man, I don't know. And I go over there, I shoot the video at the gas station, I come back and I edit it and I posted it. And I remember at this point, I was only getting like maybe 10 comments.
Mhm.
And I was doing some pretty cool shit. I'm traveling the world, and it was only my mom and my sisters like, oh,
You're funny. You got
yeah,
this.
like, enjoy. And then when I posted that video, it was like, it jumped up to like 100 comments like in an hour. And I was like, whoa, shit.
Yeah.
On to
It
something.
worked, you know?
Yeah.
And then I remember I did another video, and then I remember asking Nikki, I was like, hey, man, just out of curiosity, like, am I embarrassing you doing this shit? She's like, nah, it's hilarious. I was like, okay, done deal.
Son.
Yeah.
That's the only person I really cared about what anybody thought about me,
How's that
Yeah.
transition been for you guys too? Because Nikki being such a creative, and now I get where she's at in that mom. Like when I was in that mom zone,
Mhm.
like I had anxiety leaving the kids. Like there was no
Mhm.
way to leave the kids.
Right.
How does that feel sometimes for you when you're out there fulfilling your creative dream, and you've got the greatest mother at home,
Right.
but just knowing like
Yeah, well,
she's put that on a
no,
little
well,
bit.
I think my success is both of ours,
Mm.
because she knows what it takes and she's been there,
Yeah.
and the fact that we've done it together. She was there when it was just a dream. It was just
Right.
like, so
Right.
She was
uh,
there when Nikki's marrying a rapper.
like, no, she was there when we would go
Yeah.
to Christmas parties and people would be like, so you're still rapping and shit? Like, you're still
Yeah.
doing your little videos?
Your little videos.
Are you still shooting your little music videos for people? And I'm like, yeah.
Aw.
They're like, man, you need a good job, dog, get that 401k, bro. Like, come on. And I get it, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna keep at it, bro.
How's that feel now? Like honestly, like how's that feel now? I mean, because you heard that narrative for so long. How does it
Mhm.
feel now to know that it's like people are calling you to get on, or they're calling you for advice?
I, again, I'm glad it's happened now. Because again, if it would have
Yeah.
happened 20 years ago, I would have shit it off.
Mm.
So now I understand what I have, and I understand that you just gotta just chill, man. Just hone it, enjoy the moment. I don't know when this is gonna end, so I'm just enjoying the moment now.
I can't
like,
see it ending soon, my friend.
It's
I
not
can only
ending
see it growing.
Yeah.
And I mean, the way that you're
yeah,
reaching out, and we'll talk about that a little bit too. The way I know that when I started every podcast I went on, when I was really seeing what was going on with the rap side of it, and
mhm,
like how the music side, how I could help or lend a hand, I was watching what you were doing on the comedy side. And I don't care what anybody says,
mhm,
you're the guy out there unifying the Latino movement on the comedy side.
mhm.
You have blown it up to this whole other level, and you've brought everybody with you, and I love that. What inspires you to do that and not be afraid of like somebody taking the crown, or what inspires you to give platform to others like you do?
I don't. It doesn't. You know. I guess to me, it's always been. It's lonely when you're playing with your own ball and nobody's playing with you.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of it then? If you can't let people get on and let people do their thing, then it kind of sucks when you're playing basketball by yourself, or you're playing, like, imagine playing television by yourself. That's whack. So it's always good to let other people get on. At the end of the day, I wasn't like that before. Before it was like I
Yeah.
had like a very me mentality when I was rapping, and not that that's bad, because I think when you're that hungry, things happen, and when you're that competitive, things happen. But now I'm still competitive even now, but it's not as much as it was before. I think now, like, when people have given me the opportunity to get on. Jerry did it for me. You guys have done it for me along the years. There's been plenty of people that give me
Stop
the
there.
opportunity.
Stop there. So how that's what life is about, because we were just planting seeds or whatever,
Mhm,
and you freaking blossomed. And the way you're
Mm.
there for Jerry,
mhm,
the way you're there for me, you need to be recognized that not everybody does that, Con.
Absolutely
Yeah.
not.
Not everybody gives it back. And the fact that you're doing that at people's hardest times is everything, and is in the power in that real 33 work that you're doing.
Absolutely.
As
But I don't even think it's just giving back. I think it's who you are. I think it's just naturally who you are. That's how you exist in the world. It's just this give and flow with you. And like you said, when you were 19 and 20 and ego is involved, that gets in the way of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think the essence of who you are, like this, when you first started coming back after being a mom and everything you were going through, and she was like, we're going to shoot music videos now with kids. And I'm like, great, we're going to shoot music videos with kids. How are we doing this?
Yeah.
And she's like,
I remember
show up
the
at this
boy band.
parking lot. Yeah, the boy band, right?
Yeah.
And she's
And
like,
he told me if this messes up and this doesn't go, it's because you fucked it up. That's what he told me in the car.
It was
with
good.
love.
It
He
was
said it with
good.
love,
That was
right?
good.
It was good.
Those kids were good.
Those kids were so
hard.
good. But this one, I was like, how are we going to do this? And she's like, just meet at the parking lot. Concrete's got us. And I'm like, who's Concrete and what does that mean? And
Yeah.
she's like, he's going to film it. And so all of a sudden we started making music videos with a boy band,
Yeah.
and Concrete's filming it. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this is, but I'm here for this show. Like, let's do this.
Yeah.
And then it was just this moment of every time you had an idea or you were going to film something, it was like we called Concrete, and you
Mhm.
were just
Yeah.
there for us, and you shot
Oh, and it worked. It was
pictures
fun.
for our
Yeah,
family,
my
we did
influencer
videos,
shit, that shit was hard too.
it was a whole
Oh,
thing.
little
It was a whole thing that
influencers.
happened, and you were just there, and you just showed up, and you were just there, and it was never a question of like, it was like, I got you.
Yeah.
And when you said I got you to her, I knew that like we were good, and that has continued. And so when this came up, the podcasting stuff came up, and naturally it was like, we're gonna call Concrete, and it wasn't even a question because you have always just had her and us and me specifically, and that's a whole nother thing that I want to talk to you about.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
I almost completely like that. Let's talk about that.
Mhm.
Okay. In starting this show, right, and
Uh-huh.
doing the show up show, and we talked to you, and we almost were talk 40s, and we were going to have our 40 ounces and do that whole thing. And we circled back to what we're doing, the show up
Mhm.
show, and about how in life there are moments when people show up for you or when you show up for people, and how that changes us.
Mhm.
And you mentioning losing your best friend, that changed your life, right? And the trajectory of your life got changed in that moment.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And for those of us that have been through situations and grief and things like that, it is in those moments that we find out who we really are, right? And who our people are, and who people are that show up for us. I'm going to try to do this story without crying, but I'm going to cry, and it just
Okay.
is what it is.
That's okay.
So when my husband passed away, I talked to the kids about sort of doing the celebration of life for him. And I took in what they wanted to do, what they wanted that celebration to look like. And so my big one was like, I just don't want it to be sad. I don't want it to be sad. I don't want people to be crying. I don't want people to come up to me. I don't want it to be a whole, I'm so sorry you lost. He's like, I don't want any of that. My little one's like, I'm going to give out Otter Pops because Daddy used to let me have Otter Pops. And not the weird organic ones that like you make us have, but like regular Otter Pops. He's like, Daddy, let me have them. So that's what I want to do. And I'm like, okay. And so we planned this whole celebration of life. And in my mind, I was like, I want my children to someday be able to look back at this and know who their dad was through these people that are here and through the stories that are here. And Lisa and I started talking about it. And I said, I want that captured. And she's like, we're calling Concrete. And I don't remember much from that day, but I remember you being there and showing up for me in a way that you didn't have to. And you just did. And there was no question. And I remember meeting with the Reverend. And then I just turned and you were there with your backpack and your hat on and your camera. And I'm like, Concrete's here. And you were such a pillar of strength for me in that day. And this sort of anchor in that whatever else was happening, I could look and I'd see Concrete. And you had your camera and you were there. And you changed my life in that moment. And not to be dramatic about it, but when we lose people and people show up for us in those kinds of ways, the way that you showed up for me, I can't say thank you enough for that. And I have wanted to say these words to you for the last 3.5 years. Every time I see you, I'm like, I need to tell them this. I need to tell them this. And I couldn't. And then once we started doing this and we started talking about our show up moments, and anytime your name came up, I was like, that for me was the show up moment that you gave to me. And I am forever indebted to you for that. And I appreciate it. And I just want you to know that it really meant everything to me and my children. And I really appreciate you coming through the way that you did for us.
No, I mean, with my kids, it's like, I mean, it's really whatever they want to do. I don't try to tell them much about what I want them to do as much as asking them what they want to do. Obviously they see dad as a creative. I think my kids are now getting a little bit older. They're starting to understand who dad is, or like what dad
That dad's a
is.
fool.
That's a big deal in the world now.
Because we're starting to go places, and even
Yeah.
last night at
Yeah.
the show, like people were taking pictures, and
Does that get old? Does that ever get old? People coming up and taking pictures and
not no, not for me. I'd say it's just a trip.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
why, dog? Like, what?
yeah,
It's cool,
yeah.
But I noticed for my kids, it gets old.
Because they just want dad.
Yeah, and my oldest has been very open about it. He's like, is there like, can we just go sit down?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So then I'm like,
He's your smart one, huh?
and as
He's
much
your-
as I don't want
he's
to be
your bookie, is he
I
your
don't want to be a jerk to people and be like,
Yeah.
no, because
Sure.
that's one thing Bash always said: don't be a dick, take the pick.
Yeah.
Don't
And
be a
Bash
dick, take
has
the pick.
Don't be a dick.
Bash has really been he's instilled so much in how I run my operation as a public figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I model myself a lot to Bash.
After him.
Smoke weed and take every picture.
Yeah.
Just
be-
Bash.
Just be cool, man. Don't take yourself too seriously,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Love your fans. Magic has
Yeah.
taught me a lot about
Yep.
he taught me a lot about the merge game, about the meet and greet, shake every hand, kiss every baby type of thing. And if you can be out there every weekend, be out there every weekend.
Yeah.
Go out there and work and so those guys together have taught me a lot about like how to operate. But I lost my train of thought.
It's okay. One more question about
Yeah.
the kids, and then we'll
Yeah.
jump on to
Oh, yeah,
close it.
yeah.
One more question about the kids, and I'm gonna mark this one. And look, how old are you gonna be okay with your daughter having her first boyfriend at?
Wow.
think
Shots
it's I
fired,
think it's
Concrete.
never gonna be
Shots
okay.
fired from this one.
I don't think it's never gonna
Never.
be okay. But there's so many layers. They
Yeah.
gotta go through Crisito,
She's got three big
Caleb,
brothers.
Kai. But really, the one that takes care of the most is Caleb, and he's the toughest one out of all three of them. He's
the
like,
middle one.
yes,
Okay.
he's the enforcer. He's the one that's like,
The enforcer. I love that.
Like,
You're
he's
not
the-
getting out of this question, though.
Yeah,
What
he's
do
the
you think is
enforcer.
the? what do
Her
you
brothers
think
are going to
What's the
determine.
appropriate-
the appropriate age for her to maybe have her little boy? Holding hands.
no, it's not about when it's appropriate. I think it's who.
What do you expect for her?
A good man. I don't care
Mm.
if you're. I don't care if you're
Rapper.
Or what do you want? I
Yeah.
should say, what do you want for her?
a good man.
Yes.
A good man, an ambitious man at that. I don't think you need to be a college, 4 8 year guy, or I don't think you need to make this much money. I think at the end of the day, like my wife gave me my opportunity to be with her when I didn't have shit.
Yeah. But it was about who you are.
But it's about who you are. So as long as he's a good dude,
Yeah.
as long as he's a good man, has good intentions, and has somewhat of ambition, that's it. You don't gotta have it all. You don't gotta come from a silver spoon or nothing, as long as she's happy, I think that's ultimately what matters. At the end of the day, that's it, dog. There's
That's
nothing
it.
else to it.
So the king of reinventing himself, the king of ambition, right here in front
ambition.
of us.
Yeah.
What are your goals that are unmet now for 2025?
I don't know who I'll be next year.
Yeah. I love that though.
I feel like
I love that.
I'm always evolving. Like I don't know who I'm gonna be next year. I don't know if next year I'm gonna focus on just film.
I love
I
that.
don't know if I just want to focus on going on auditions and getting back to my grassroots of really going out there and being an actor. Stand up has been fun. I love it. I want to keep doing it. But I don't. I think I'm. Undiagnosed. I have multiple personalities. Realistically, I one day I wake up and I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna do this, and the next day I want to do that, and not that I'm like not that I'm scatterbrained, but I'm just as a creative. That's how I am.
Yeah.
So what do I want to do for 2025? I need something. I need something big. I want a big film. I want a big show. I think that's just natural progression. Like
Yeah.
you wanna outdo yourself, right? I did 150 sold out shows in the last 16 months.
Let's go.
Wow,
big dog.
150
Shouts out
sold
to
out
Martin
shows.
having your
How do we-
back on
like,
that.
how do we top that?
Yeah.
Like how do
Yeah.
you top that, right? Like how
Yeah.
do and it's not about anybody else, because I don't really care about what anybody else is doing, right? I mean, I congratulate what people are doing, but you can't get to your finish line with your with your eyes in the rear view mirror the whole time, or on the side view mirrors. You gotta
Right.
stay focused. So I've been horse with blinders, right? But how do we top that? How do we get better? How do we, instead of just doing a comedy show, like I was watching I just watched Back to the Future play yesterday, and I was like, yeah, how do we get it to that?
Yeah.
How do we get it to where it's not just a show, but a Broadway fucking show? How can I bring the first Chicano Broadway comedy show to New York? How do I do that? How can I get to that?
I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's
And then
go.
and then
We know
and
a
then,
few
and then I'm walking. I was like, son, let's go grab because me and him love going to this place called Greco's on Hollywood,
Hmm.
and we're walking, and I could hear his excitement, Dad. So and so star and so and so star, and I was like, look, dog, you gonna read my name on one of
I'm
those.
gonna get one of those.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
But in order for me to do that, I gotta do these Broadway. I gotta figure something else out because right now what we're doing is I still feel like it's surface level. I feel like I'm not doing nothing that hasn't been done before, right? There's been people that sold out 150 shows, the Fluffies, the Renee Vacas, you got the the Alfreds of the world, you got the Ken Floreses of the world, you got the Dunos of the world. Cool, that's all good. How do we get to the next level? How can we?
Yeah.
Okay, we're all doing it,
Right.
but we're all doing something that's been done before, right? What hasn't been done? And I think that's where we're all at is how are we gonna elevate this shit, you know?
Remember how you told me that the thing about you is I know that it's not going to stop for you because you know the business, you
Mhm.
know. I hate to tell you, kid, but I know you're asking how, but you're in the middle of it, and
You're doing it.
that is the movement you've
Yeah.
created. You've created everybody you just named just now, and the props you're giving them, and the movement you're creating is just gonna be that next
Yeah,
level.
all these
film
guys,
is gonna be
all
that
these
next-
guys, yeah. Like I feel like all these guys are dope, you know, like all of them, you know.
Right, but you're creating, you have to understand you're creating
Yeah.
a sense of unity and it's on, and I'm proud of you. This is my brother,
Yes.
Concrete
Yes.
Live.
As long as one of us
Makes
makes
it. We're all gonna be okay.
yeah, I think we all live vicariously through each other, you
The
know.
movement's so much stronger than the
Yeah.
individual, and you're
Yeah.
creating a movement, my
Yeah.
friend. I love you. Concrete Live in
Excited.
studio. You know how we
Yes.
Yeah.
do. Let's go. Any shout outs before you go?
My team.
Yeah.
Shout outs to the team, which
My
is
team, as he looks around the room and
That's
sees
it.
half his
No.
team hanging out here with
No,
us.
it's because
Team that
Thank
we've
you.
stolen.
Your
because
team that we
Thank you.
because
borrow.
we're all here, like
Yeah.
Marty,
Yes.
Dennis, Eric, Ceci's been instrumental.
Ceci
because
making me
Ceci's
look
like, yes.
next level
Yeah.
48. She got us looking next
Ceci's
level
a part of the team
48.
just as much as
Ceci is
anybody
the
else.
one.
Yeah.
That's Marty's balance.
Shoot,
you
I'll
know?
throw you all
Yes.
off the ship before I throw her off. She's
Yeah.
staying on.
Yeah.
She's choosing
Dog.
me over
Marty,
you.
you know what? I would be on the road for 16 hours. Like, I gotta go home already.
Yeah, yeah.
Done.
Done.
We'll take her, Marty. We got her.
Let's go, you guys. It's a
Yeah.
show up show. You
The
know
show
how
up
we
show.
do. Hey.
Get ready to show up with Khoolaid and Sarah. It's the show up show, baby.